Hey fellow food lovers, Rigatoni Jack here, and today I'm serving up 15 fresh stories from the kitchen and beyond. Some are spicy, some are sweet, but they're all made to feed your imagination. Most of these tales come straight from the heat of the kitchen, but I've thrown in a few special ingredients to keep you guessing. And just like any good meal, it's better shared. So if you enjoy what you hear, bring your friends to the table by hitting that subscribe button. Story 1. You know those moments when you're absolutely certain you've made the worst decision of your life? Well, I'm lying here under my blankets right now, my entire digestive system staging a full-scale rebellion, thinking about how I got here. Living on Australia's east coast is pretty sweet. We've got these incredible meat pies that'll make your mouth water, fresh prawns that practically beg to be thrown on the barbie, crayfish that taste like they were caught just for you. But 4 years ago, I stumbled onto something that would change everything: pho. My first bowl of this Vietnamese soup was in some hole-in-the-wall joint in Kreuzberg. It was decent enough, but something told me there had to be better out there. That's when I found this little family-run place. Picture this, the most adorable elderly couple running a restaurant, serving up bowls of pure magic for $14. In Australia, that's practically giving it away. You can barely get a McDonald's meal for that price these days. Now, let me tell you something about my relationship with spicy food. This isn't your typical story of some clueless person biting off more than they can chew. No. I had worked my way up to this moment. I grew chilies in my backyard. I raided my neighbours' pepper plants, with their blessing, of course. I even conquered those wicked Carolina Reapers from the supermarket. The burning sensation became my drug of choice. Call it an endorphin addiction if you want, but I was hooked on the heat. I became a regular at this Vietnamese place, always pushing the boundaries. Make it spicier, I'd say. I want to cry. My friend and I would sit there, tears streaming down our faces, loving every second. But tonight I crossed the line. I said those words no sane person should ever utter. Give me the hottest pho your kitchen has ever created. When they asked about chilies, fresh or dried, I said both, because apparently I had completely lost my mind. But here's where things got interesting. Instead of their usual black plate of chilies, they brought out this mysterious bowl with peppers swimming in some dark sauce. Did I question this departure from tradition? Of course not. I dumped the whole thing in like I was trying to start a fire in my bowl. My friend, who loves to remind me that being Indian automatically grants them superior spice tolerance, tried one tiny drop of this sauce and immediately ordered another drink. Should that have been a red flag? Absolutely. Did I pay attention? Not even close. When I asked about this mysterious sauce, the waitress dropped a bombshell. The chef made this specially for you. We don't serve it to anyone else. Did this make me reconsider my choices? Nope. Instead, I felt like I'd been inducted into some exclusive spice club. I attacked that bowl without touching my water, sweating by the third bite, crying by the fourth, but pushed through like I was competing in some imaginary spice Olympics. Then it hit me. As the chili high faded, this unholy fire started creeping down my chest. Imagine watching your favourite show's finale, knowing it's going to be terrible. That kind of dread, but with actual physical pain. I guzzled water, sprinted to the nearest gas station for chocolate milk, found myself in a Domino's bathroom experiencing what felt like a war between fire-breathing dragons in my chest. The grand finale? There I was, redecorating the pavement behind Zarefas. That's Australian for Starbucks, with my dinner. My imaginary I survived the hottest pho medal? Yeah, that's been tossed in an equally imaginary dumpster. Will I go back next week? You bet I will. Will I let them tease me while I sing praises to the chef's diabolical creation? Absolutely. But first, I'm heading to the doctor tomorrow to make sure I haven't permanently damaged anything vital. Let this be a lesson to you all. Never ever challenge a Vietnamese chef to make you the hottest pho ever. They will accept that challenge and you will lose, spectacularly and completely. And you might find yourself hiding under your blankets, questioning every decision that led you to that moment of magnificent regret. Story 2. February 14th was the day my world crumbled, and time has been moving like molasses ever since. 2 hours have passed since the incident, but it feels like years have dragged by while I've been sitting here, head in my hands. I should start with some context. My girlfriend Sarah had been struggling with depression lately. The simplest things could brighten her day though, like my silly phone greeting whenever she called from work. It wasn't much, just a goofy impression that always made her laugh. I'd see her office's area code pop up on my phone, and without saving the number, I'd answer with my routine. It became our thing. My professional life was different. I worked as a sous chef at Le Petit Jardin, one of those exclusive restaurants where dinner for two costs more than most people's monthly rent. In that kitchen, perfection wasn't exceptional, it was expected. And I delivered every single time. The fine dining world runs on connections. One good word from the right person can open doors to prestigious kitchens across the globe. Paris, Copenhagen, Tokyo, places I'd only dreamed about. My executive chef noticed my potential and offered to help. He knew Master Chen, a culinary legend whose recommendation could change any chef's career trajectory. Then came that Valentine's Day phone call. When I saw that familiar area code flash across my screen, I thought it was Sarah calling from work. Wanting to make her smile on this special day, I launched into my most elaborate greeting yet. The silence that followed wasn't filled with her usual laughter. Instead, a deep voice responded, "This is Master Chen speaking. I was calling about your application." My stomach dropped to my feet. The world seemed to tilt sideways. I stammered an apology, but the damage was done. The line went dead. Minutes later, my executive chef called. His words cut like a knife. Clear out my station, turn in my keys. But that wasn't the worst part. They'd sent emails to their entire professional network, describing my catastrophic lapse in judgment. Years of dedication, countless burns and cuts, endless nights perfecting techniques. All of it vanished in 30 seconds of spectacular foolishness. Now I sit here in my empty apartment watching the sun set through my window, wondering how to rebuild a career from the ashes of a single phone call. In this industry, your reputation is everything, and mine just went up in flames. Subscribe and hit that bell to catch more delicious disasters every week. Story 3. Rules exist for a reason. This is what I kept telling myself as I stared at the ceiling of my tiny cabin. Approximately 6 hours and 23 minutes after I demolished my entire existence on the SS Paradise. Here's what you need to know about cruise ships. They run on rules, 8,947 of them to be exact. The biggest one? No drinking. Never. Not even when you're in port. Not even when it's your birthday. Not even when you're trying to forget about Mia. Mia. M-I-A. 3 letters that spelled out everything I wanted and couldn't have. She worked the gift shop with me. White uniform pressed so crisp you could probably slice bread with the creases. Freckles scattered across her nose like a star map I wanted to memorize. And man, that laugh. That laugh could make you believe that selling $15 magnets was your life's true calling. But this isn't about Mia. This is about how I screwed up. This is about my 21st birthday. This is about Kevin from housekeeping. And yes, Kevin, I'm calling you out by name. Deciding that rules were more like suggestions. Picture this, a bar in some port town, music that's too loud, lights that are too dim. Crew members who should have known better, all gathered around sticky tables. The ship's pastry chef, who clearly chose chaos over cream puffs that night, asked the question that would sink my battleship. Anyone crushing on someone from the crew? Here's what alcohol does. It doesn't make you brave, it makes you astronomically stupid. My brain, which had apparently jumped ship without leaving a forwarding address, decided to broadcast, "I've been crushing on Mia since she first came aboard." Silence dropped like an anchor. Everyone turned to look at Mia. And Mia, sweet professional Mia, she smiled the smile you give to puppies who just peed on your shoes and said, "He's a good friend, but not really my type." Let me tell you something about humiliation. It has weight, mass, density. It sits in your stomach like you swallowed all the ship's ballast at once. My roommate tried to help later. "There are plenty of fish in the sea," he said, which was both literally true. We were literally at sea, and completely useless, since I just metaphorically drowned in front of everyone I worked with. The next day, Mia acted like nothing happened. Just stood there organising snow globes, straightening postcard racks, while I died approximately 8,000 deaths per hour. Here's what they don't tell you about working on a cruise ship. The ship keeps moving, always moving. Whether your heart is whole or in pieces, those massive engines keep pushing forward through the waves. You learn things at 21, like how life isn't a romantic comedy playing in the ship's theatre at 8 p.m. Sometimes you're just the guy in the gift shop who aimed for the stars and missed by several nautical miles. But maybe that's okay. Maybe there's something to be said for being the idiot who tried, even if tried is just another word for spectacular failure, even if brave is just another word for temporary insanity. Because here's the truth about cruise ships. They sail on, through calm seas and storms, through broken hearts and awkward gift shop shifts, through every single one of those 8,947 rules, and so do we. Even if we have to fold t-shirts next to the person who knows exactly how much we like them. Even if we have to smile and make change and pretend our heart isn't performing a tragic reenactment of the Titanic every time they walk by. We sail on, because that's what you do. That's what you have to do, even when you're the biggest idiot in any ocean. If you're enjoying these kitchen catastrophes, hit that like button. It helps more food lovers find these stories. Story 4. Today is the kind of day where memories surface like bubbles in boiling water. The kind of day where I think about that wing place 90 miles outside our mid-sized Canadian city and how one single meal changed everything. You should know this about me. I'm not just someone who likes hot sauce. I'm someone who treats hot sauce bottles like precious artifacts. I faced down ghost peppers without flinching. I've stared Carolina Reapers in the eye and won. Hot wing challenges. I used to collect victories like others collect postcards. It was supposed to be an ordinary Saturday. Me, my girlfriend Sarah, and my brother-in-law Mike, following our usual routine. Drive to Tammy's Queen of Wings. Eat. Drive home. Simple. The neon sign buzzed above us as we walked in. 3 times before, I'd conquered their challenge. 3 times I'd walked away victorious, my wallet a little heavier from those free wings. The routine was clockwork. Concerned waitress, confident me, victory lap. But here's where everything shifted. The waitress, who turned out to be Tammy herself, asked the usual question. Are you sure about taking the challenge? I couldn't help myself. Oh, I've beaten it 3 times already, I said, words dripping with pride like hot sauce from a wing. Something changed in Tammy's eyes then. Something that made the air feel electric, dangerous. When those wings arrived, the smell alone made my eyes water. The sauce glistened like fresh blood. The first bite felt like kissing a flamethrower. The second bite made me question every life choice that had led me to this moment. Twice I had to excuse myself to the bathroom, where I pressed my forehead against the cool tile wall and wondered if this was how it all ended. But pride is a powerful thing. I finished every wing. The drive home started innocently enough. Sarah kept glancing at me from the driver's seat, concern etched on her face like a tattoo. Are you okay? She kept asking. I wasn't. 30 minutes into our 90-minute journey, my stomach began its rebellion. At 60 minutes, I was seeing colours that didn't exist. By 75 minutes, I was bargaining with any deity willing to listen. What happened when we finally reached home isn't something I'm proud of. Let's just say our bathroom became ground zero for an event that would have made disaster movie directors turn away in horror. Sarah, bless her heart, handled the aftermath like a hazmat professional while I huddled in the bathtub, my body attempting to turn itself inside out through any available exit. Later, as warm shower water rained down on my defeated form, Sarah asked if I'd learned anything. I said yes. I lied. Tammy's Queen of Wings isn't there anymore. The building stands empty now, but sometimes I swear I can still feel those wings burning. You had to sign a waiver before taking the challenge. That should have been my first warning sign. Did this experience stop me from doing hot wing challenges? Of course not. Some lessons need to be learned multiple times, like a song you have to hear again and again before you finally know all the words. Sarah and I are still together, though we're not married yet. Maybe because she's waiting to see if I've truly learned my lesson. Or maybe because she knows that true love means being willing to clean up after your partner's worst decisions, even when those decisions involve criminally hot chicken wings. These days, I'm a little more humble when I walk into wing joints, just a little. But that's progress, right? Story 5. Here's the thing about catastrophic workplace incidents. They never happen when you're prepared for them. They happen on completely ordinary Wednesdays when the fluorescent lights are humming their familiar corporate lullaby and you're just trying to survive another day at MetroCorp. My name is Alex, and this is the story of how I accidentally told my CEO to shut up. Before I get into the details of my spectacular professional faceplant, you should know that I'm generally a competent person. I coordinate marketing campaigns. I remember to water my desk plant. I've never once microwaved fish in the break room. But perhaps the universe has a way of humbling even the most carefully curated corporate personas. The real hero, or maybe antagonist, of this story isn't me. It's a GIF. For those uninitiated in the subtle art of workplace communication, GIFs are these perfect little moving pictures that somehow express everything words can't. My work best friend Ava and I had developed this intricate language of GIFs, each one carrying layers of meaning that would make Shakespeare jealous. I remember exactly where I was sitting when it happened. Desk 23B, third floor, right under the vent that makes that weird whistling sound when it rains. I just found what I thought was the perfect GIF. A cat dramatically slapping another cat with some choice words floating across the screen. In that moment, I felt like I discovered the digital equivalent of the Holy Grail. Here's what they don't tell you about tragedy. It comes with a re prefix. The thing about sending a message to the wrong person is that you don't realize it until exactly 0.3 seconds after you hit send. That precise moment when your stomach drops through the floor and your soul tries to escape through your ears. And when that wrong person happens to be Robert Evans, CEO of Metrocorp, whose name literally gleams in sterling silver letters on the building's facade, well, that's when time stops entirely. Have you ever watched those slow motion videos of a water balloon exploding? That's what it felt like watching those 3 dots appear as he typed his response. Each dot was another nail in my career's coffin, another line item on my rapidly expanding list of reasons I should have gone to law school like Mum wanted. But here's the miraculous thing about people. Sometimes they surprise you. Sometimes the CEO of a Fortune 500 company looks at a sassy cat GIF and responds with, "Aggressive, but I like it. Let's keep the meeting short today." In that moment, I learned something profound about humanity or corporate culture, or maybe just about Robert Evans. Behind every intimidating job title is just another person who might appreciate a good cat GIF. Now, whenever I pass Robert in the hallway, we share this knowing look. It's not quite a friendship. He's still the CEO, and I'm still the person who accidentally sent him a passive-aggressive cat. But it's something. Something that reminds me that even in the fluorescent lit maze of corporate America, we're all just humans trying to communicate, one GIF at a time. I'd like to say I learned my lesson about double-checking recipients, but that would be a lie. I've just developed an obsessive-compulsive relationship with the undo send button. And maybe that's okay. Maybe sometimes the best stories start with mistakes, and the best connections begin with catastrophic digital mishaps. After all, isn't that what life is? A series of moments where we're all just trying our best not to accidentally send inappropriate GIFs to our CEOs. But if you do, if you find yourself in that heart-stopping moment when you realize your perfectly curated professional image is crumbling faster than the break room's ancient coffee machine, remember my story. Remember that sometimes, just sometimes, the universe knows exactly what it's doing, even if you don't, especially if you don't. Drop a comment below with your worst kitchen disaster. I read every comment. Story 6. Okay, let me tell you about the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. And when I say ridiculous, I mean the kind of ridiculous that lands you in the ICU and makes every medical professional within a 50-mile radius facepalm simultaneously. Picture this. It's the 1980s. I'm this super nerdy PhD student studying tissue biology, rocking the whole academic vibe with probably questionable fashion choices, because, hello, it was the 80s. And here's the thing about being a tissue biology student. We work with these absolutely terrifying things called microtome blades. Quick science lesson, these blades are basically the samurai swords of the lab world. They're so sharp they can slice tissue samples thinner than a single cell, like imagine the sharpest knife you've ever seen, then multiply that by about 1,000. They're heavy-ish, kind of like a small kitchen knife, and they cost more than my monthly rent back then. Now, every single person who works with these blades gets the speech trademark. You know the one. It's that safety lecture that's supposed to be permanently tattooed onto your brain cells. Rule number 1, never drop the blade. Not just because they're expensive, though they totally were. We're talking hundreds of dollars in 1980s money, but because even the tiniest ding can ruin them completely. So naturally, what did I do? I broke literally every safety protocol in existence. First off, these blades are supposed to be carried in special containers. It's like a fancy little suitcase for deadly sharp objects. But did I bring the container that day? Of course not, because apparently my brain decided that walking across campus to get it was just too much effort. Past me really needed a stern talking to about priorities. There I was, strolling through the biology department hallway, holding this razor-sharp blade like it was no big deal. And then, because the universe has a twisted sense of humor, the blade slipped. Now, here's where my body betrayed me in the most spectacular way possible. You know how they say your instincts can save you? Yeah, well, mine apparently missed the memo about sharp objects and self-preservation. In what has to be the worst split-second decision ever made, my hand shot out to catch the falling blade. Let me repeat that. I tried to catch a falling blade. The next few moments were like something out of a weird slow motion sequence. There was this strange disconnect where I'm looking at my hand and suddenly 3 of my fingers won't move. It was like they were taking an unscheduled vacation without telling the rest of my body. At first, there wasn't even any blood, just this surreal moment of, that's not supposed to happen. Then, whoosh, the blood arrived fashionably late to the party, and when it showed up, it showed up. We're talking horror movie levels of red spreading across the pristine white floor tiles. And there I was, standing there like, oh, this seems not great. Thank goodness for anatomy professors with superhero-level reflexes. This one professor, let's call him my guardian angel in a lab coat, saw the whole thing and sprinted over faster than you can say severed tendons. He grabbed my wrist and did this pressure point move that probably saved me from decorating the entire hallway with my blood. But wait, because apparently this story wasn't dramatic enough, the universe decided to throw in a plot twist. After surgery to reattach everything, which, by the way, went great, some genius in the lab mixed up my blood type. Do you know what happens when they give you the wrong type of blood? Because I sure found out. Imagine the worst flu you've ever had, multiply it by 10, then add kidney failure and breathing problems just for fun. My urine looked like badly made coffee, and my back felt like I'd been using it as a trampoline for angry elephants. The doctors were throwing around phrases like complete kidney failure and lifelong dialysis, like confetti at a really depressing party. But plot twist within a plot twist, they caught the mistake just in time. My kidneys decided to stick around after all, probably out of sheer spite. So, what did we learn from this adventure? Well, first off, maybe don't try to catch falling sharp objects, like, ever. And second, always bring the proper safety container. Because trust me, a few extra minutes of walking beats a week in the ICU. Oh, and in case you're wondering, yes, I did eventually finish my PhD. Though I'm pretty sure this incident became a what not to do example in lab safety presentations for years to come. The end. Though honestly, I'm still not sure what possessed me to try catching that blade. Maybe temporary insanity, sleep deprivation, the ghost of bad decisions past. We may never know. If you're enjoying these regrettable recaps, hit that like button. It helps more story lovers find these stories. Story 7. You want to know how I discovered that lemons can be weaponized? It wasn't on purpose. Most discoveries that could kill you aren't on purpose, I guess. That's what my friend Marbury would say, and he knows things about accidents. Lots of things. It started because my wife had surgery. Nothing huge, just the kind where doctors tell you not to use your stomach muscles, which turns out to be basically everything in life. Did you know you use your abs to breathe, to laugh, to exist? I didn't. Now I do. I'm the kind of husband who does stupid things to show love. Really stupid things, the kind of things that make other people shake their heads and mutter, "What was he thinking?" I wasn't thinking. That's the answer. I decided to make her the most epic post-surgery meal ever created by human hands. First came the burger, not just any burger, but a monster stuffed with onion rings and paired with mashed potatoes loaded with enough toppings to make a cardiologist weep. But that wasn't enough. No, because I'm an idiot. Here's what happens when you're an idiot. You decide to make lemon honey frozen yogurt from scratch at 9 a.m. while your wife is unconscious from anesthesia drugs. You race to the store like some deranged citrus hunter. Maya lemons, Greek yogurt, honey, the holy trinity of bad decisions. The lemons stared at me. I stared back. They knew what was coming. I didn't. I juiced those lemons like I was trying to extract confessions. Too much juice, way too much juice. So I did what any completely unqualified person would do. I decided to reduce it down. Because that's what real chefs do, right? They reduce things until they're perfect. I bought pH strips because science. The strips screamed red, danger red, warning red. Stop what you're doing right now red. I ignored them. This is where the story becomes a cautionary tale about chemistry, about how baking soda and hot acidic lemon juice in a sealed blender create something that's basically a citrus hand grenade. Boom, not a little boom, not a pop. A full-on wake the dead, question your life choices, boom. Lemon shrapnel everywhere. Walls, ceiling, me, the cat, who decided this was the perfect moment to investigate the noise, looking like some kind of sticky citrus demon. So there I stood in my bat-printed boxers, because apparently even my underwear needed to be part of this circus, wearing swimming goggles and a gaming net gaiter, bleeding from where the cat expressed its opinion about emergency baths, trying to clean up with bleach. Fun fact, lemon juice plus bleach equals gas. Not the good kind. The kind that makes you wonder if this is how you die, in your underwear, covered in citrus pulp, creating chemical weapons by accident. That's when my wife woke up. Picture it. Her husband, looking like a failed superhero, perched on a ladder, armed with cleaning supplies, surrounded by what looked like a crime scene where someone murdered a lemon tree. I can explain, I shouted, which never makes anything better. She laughed, then grabbed her stomach because laughing after surgery hurts, then laughed again because sometimes pain is worth it. The moral? There isn't one. Or maybe there are too many. Don't play chemist in your kitchen. Don't mix bleach with anything. Don't wear bat-printed boxers during disasters. Or maybe just don't try to impress people with frozen yogurt. Some things aren't meant to be improved upon. The cat still won't look at me the same way. I don't blame it. Story 8. I'm staring at my phone, thumb hovering over mom's contact info. My tiny college apartment kitchen smells like burnt toast and regret. In exactly 2 weeks, I'll be home for Christmas break and I've volunteered to make Christmas dinner. What was I thinking? I was thinking about proving something, probably. About showing everyone I'm not just the weird girl who spends too much time reading fan fiction and wearing dad's old sweaters. About being an adult, right? The first hint that things aren't going according to plan comes at 6 a.m. on Christmas morning. I'm standing in my childhood kitchen, surrounded by sticky notes covered in my own anxious handwriting. The turkey sits there, pink and intimidating, like some kind of raw poultry puzzle. Top or bottom? I mutter, turning the bird this way and that. Nothing in my late-night Pinterest binge covered proper turkey orientation. No helpful arrows, no this-end-up instructions. I go with my gut, literally. The next few hours are a blur of basting and timer checking and trying not to panic every time the oven makes a weird noise. The kitchen fills with proper Christmas smells, sage and rosemary, and something deeply savoury that makes me feel like maybe, just maybe, I haven't messed up completely. Then comes the moment. Mum and Grandma enter the kitchen just as I'm pulling the perfectly golden brown turkey from the oven. Their faces shift from anticipation to horror in perfect synchronization. "Oh, honey," Mum whispers, "the breast." Grandma's hand flies to her pearl necklace. It's upside down. My stomach drops faster than a failed souffle. Is that bad? What follows can only be described as the great turkey crisis of 2023. Mum and Grandma huddle over an iPad, frantically Googling how to save wrongly cooked turkey while shooting me concerned glances. I stand there in my oven mitts, feeling like I've committed some terrible crime against culinary tradition. But here's the thing about mistakes. Sometimes they turn out better than perfection. That turkey, it's amazing. The breast meat practically melts, so juicy it makes Dad's eyes go wide. My brothers have seconds, then thirds. The women won't touch it. They pick at their sides, martyrs to proper turkey protocol. Later, elbow deep in dish soap suds, my penance for the turkey transgression, I smile. Maybe some traditions need turning upside down. Maybe some mistakes aren't mistakes at all. Next Christmas, I'll do it exactly the same way. Because sometimes the best recipes come from getting things wrong in exactly the right way. And if anyone asks, I'll tell them it's completely intentional. A family tradition, my very own culinary rebellion, served with a side of perfectly moist turkey and a generous helping of satisfied smirk. Because really, some mistakes aren't mistakes at all. They're just different ways of doing things that people aren't ready to accept. Like cooking a turkey breast side down on Christmas Day. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Story 9. Okay, let me just say this right now. Nothing and I mean nothing, in my 17 years of life experience could have prepared me for what happened in that student house. Not all those coming-of-age novels I devoured. Not all those how to survive college guides my mum kept sending me. Nothing. I guess I should back up a little. So here's the deal. There were 4 of us sharing this house near campus. Just your typical college freshman trying to figure out how to adult. And can we talk about how that word shouldn't even be a verb? But here we were, adulting. We had this food waste bin, just a normal boring bin with these little holes in it, like thumbnail-sized holes that were supposed to help with ventilation or whatever. The kind of thing that responsible, environmentally conscious college students should totally be using, right? I'm literally cringing as I type this because, oh my God, if only we knew what was coming. The bin came with these special biodegradable bags, which turned out to be way too good at their one job of biodegrading. Like, picture this. You're carrying a bag of 3-day-old food scraps to the outside bin and suddenly, splat, your kitchen floor looks like a food waste Jackson Pollock painting. Not cute. So obviously most of us were like, yeah, no thanks. Except for Alfie. Side note, that's not his real name, but honestly, the real name wouldn't even do justice to what this guy did. You know how in every friend group, there's that one person who takes things way too seriously? That was Alfie with this stupid bin. For 4 months. 4 entire months. He kept using it like some sort of decomposition evangelist. Here's something they don't teach you in biology class. Your nose can detect like 1 trillion different smells, but usually it gets used to them after a while, usually being the operative word here. Because let me tell you about the day everything went wrong. It started with this smell. Not just any smell, the smell. The kind that makes you wonder if something actually died in your kitchen. Spoiler alert, something kind of did. And because apparently I'm the protagonist in some sort of horror movie, I decided to investigate. Pro tip, don't investigate the mysterious smell, ever. The bin. Oh my God, the bin. Inside was this writhing mass of nope. You know what? I can't even type the M word. Let's just say there were some very active white things swimming in what looks like the nastiest soup ever created. And then I made the worst decision of my life. I tried to remove the bag. Picture this. Me standing there in my favorite Star Wars t-shirt. As suddenly these white things started raining down on our windowsill like some sort of biblical plague. Except instead of locusts, it was... You know what? Never mind. You get the picture. So what did I do? Obviously, I decided that the solution was to dump every cleaning product we owned onto them. Because that's totally what a rational person does, right? But wait, it gets better. Because then, and I literally cannot believe I'm admitting this, I added boiling water to the mix. Boiling water. Let me just say this. There are regular smells, and then there are smells that make you question everything you've ever known about the physical universe. This was definitely the second kind. I spent the next 20 minutes throwing up in our bathroom, but honestly, the real trauma is permanent. Like, I literally cannot look at a banana peel now without having flashbacks. So, what's the moral of this story? Maybe it's don't let your roommate turn your kitchen into a science experiment. Maybe it's always read the warning labels on cleaning products. Or maybe, just maybe, it's sometimes the most traumatic moments of your life come from the most ridiculous situations. And if you're ever tempted to pour boiling water on a pile of cleaning products and things that wiggle, just don't. Trust me on this one. Triple bag your food waste and call it a day. If you're enjoying these kitchen catastrophes, hit that like button. It helps more food lovers find these stories. Story 10. You want to hear about how my roommate almost killed me with breakfast? I'm serious. What he did probably breaks at least 3 laws about chemical weapons. Picture this. It's a Tuesday morning. I'm at my desk trying to wake up when Jake shows up in my doorway. He's holding a plate. This is weird because Jake has never, and I mean never, cooked for me before. I should have known something was wrong, but I was too sleepy to notice. He's made an omelette. At least that's what he called it. It looked more like a yellow blob that had given up on life. I made it special, Jake says, grinning like he's just invented fire. Let me tell you something. When someone says they made something special, run. I stick my fork in. The egg is cold. Not room temperature. Cold. I take a bite and Oh no. Inside this sad yellow pocket of doom, I discover pure chaos. First comes the horseradish Swiss cheese, which shouldn't even exist in this world. Then I taste sour raisins, and I didn't even know raisins could go bad. And finally, as if channeling my grandmother's secret weapon for digestive issues, there are prunes. My mouth wanted to file a formal complaint, but here's where I messed up big time. Later, when Jake asks how it was, I'm dealing with computer problems. So I just smile and say, "Thanks for cooking. Big mistake. Huge. Like giving sugar to a toddler. It only made things worse." For weeks after that, Jake keeps experimenting. Each breakfast gets stranger than the last. The worst? An omelette with garlic, cheese, and dried cranberries. It wasn't just bad. It was like someone had emptied out a grocery store into eggs and hoped for the best. Want to know the really funny part? I don't even like omelettes. Give me plain scrambled eggs any day. But by now I'm stuck in this weird cycle of being polite while my taste buds scream for help. After weeks of this and spending way too much money on breath mints, I finally get brave. I sit Jake down and say, "Look, I really appreciate you cooking for me, but maybe we should keep prunes and eggs far, far away from each other." And guess what? He was totally cool about it. The next morning, plain scrambled eggs. Beautiful, simple, perfect scrambled eggs. That night, I made us tacos. No prunes anywhere near them. So here's what I learned. Sometimes being a good friend means telling the truth about weird cooking. And always keep breath mints nearby, just in case. Drop a comment below with your worst disaster story. I like to read all of your comments. Story 11. Let me tell you something about love. It's not always about candlelit dinners or romantic walks on the beach. Sometimes, and I mean this with every fibre of my being, it's about watching your boyfriend almost ruin mulled wine with enough garlic to make Dracula move to another continent. I should probably back up. My boyfriend, we'll call him Alex, is 21 and spends his weekends running Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. You'd think someone who orchestrates epic fantasy adventures would know their medieval recipes, right? Wrong. It started innocently enough. We were hosting a game night. Alex volunteered to make mulled wine, you know, that cozy winter drink that makes you feel like you're living in a fairy tale where everyone has perfect hair and excellent taste in beverages. The recipe was simple: wine, spices, fruit juice, and cloves. I was stuck at work, so Alex went shopping alone. And here's where everything went spectacularly sideways. Now, there are two types of cloves in this world. First, we have the spice kind, tiny brown flower-looking things that smell amazing. Then there's the garlic kind, which belong in pasta sauce and vampire protection rituals. Alex, my sweet, confused Alex, not only thought the recipe meant garlic cloves, but he also decided each clove in the recipe meant an entire bulb of garlic. 16 bulbs? That's 192 individual cloves of garlic. I did the math, because apparently that's what I do now. Calculate my boyfriend's garlic-related mishaps. Thank goodness his friends showed up before Operation Vampire Repellent Wine could commence. The conversation went something like this. "Dude, what are you doing?" his friend Jake asked. "Making mulled wine," Alex replied cheerfully. "With 16 bulbs of garlic?" "Yeah, the recipe says," and that's when it hit him. I wish I'd been there to see his face. That moment of pure realization dawning like the sun rising over a landscape of terrible cooking decisions. The wine turned out fine in the end, even without the actual cloves it was supposed to have. But now we're stuck with enough garlic to supply every Italian restaurant in a 10-mile radius. Though honestly, there are worse problems to have in a relationship than an overabundance of garlic. Because here's the real truth about love. Sometimes it's not about perfect romantic moments. Sometimes it's about laughing until your sides hurt because your D&D loving boyfriend almost created a beverage that would have simultaneously delighted Italian grandmothers and terrified the undead. We'll tell this story for years, probably over glasses of properly made mulled wine. As for all that garlic, we're having garlic bread with every meal for the next month. And hey, at least we know we're safe from vampires. Though I have to say, if any vampires are reading this, I'm sorry, but this section of town is officially off limits. Blame Alex and his creative interpretation of medieval recipes. Story 12. Everyone has their quirks. Mine was cooking without clothes. Not for any deep philosophical reason, not as some kind of statement. It was just my thing. Past tense. Very much past tense. You'll understand why in a minute. My 4-month-old son was already showing signs of being a tiny agent of chaos. You know how scientists talk about butterflies flapping their wings and causing hurricanes? My son was like that, except instead of hurricanes, he specialized in creating moments of pure parental mortification. Let me tell you about video calls, more specifically about that one button, that innocent-looking little button that flips the camera around. Nobody ever thinks about that button until a baby discovers it exists. It was 7:43 in the morning. Everything was perfectly normal. The bacon was sizzling in the pan, sending out that irresistible aroma that makes everything feel right with the world. The coffee maker was doing its magical burbling thing. Golden morning sunlight was streaming through our kitchen window, making everything look like a fancy breakfast commercial. At 7:44, my wife was in the living room, doing one of those mandatory family video calls that everyone had to do during the pandemic. Remember those? When everyone pretended that seeing a baby through a screen was just as good as squishing their chubby cheeks in person. Then it happened. Our son, who had previously shown about as much interest in phones as he did in tax legislation, suddenly transformed into Steven Spielberg. One tiny finger press, one camera flip, one very naked me, 3 traumatized in-laws. Here's the thing about cooking breakfast. You never start your day thinking, today's the day my mother-in-law sees everything I've got. You never imagine becoming that story, the one that gets dragged out at every family gathering until the end of time. According to my wife, her sisters screamed like they were watching a horror movie. Her mother made a sound that probably scared birds out of nearby trees. Our son giggled like he'd just invented comedy. And me, I just kept cooking, blissfully unaware that I'd just become a family legend. Now, months later, every video call starts the same way. Is everyone wearing clothes today? Should we keep our eyes closed just in case? Do we need to implement a pants policy? Parenthood teaches you things, like how every mortifying moment becomes a story worth telling. Every disaster transforms into a precious memory, and every accidental nudist cooking incident becomes an unshakable part of family folklore. The pandemic taught us things too, like how the most unforgettable moments can happen while you're just trying to make breakfast. And my personal lesson, wear an apron or pants, or literally anything, because babies don't care about your dignity. They only care about buttons and chaos and making sure their grandparents will never be able to look their son-in-law in the eye again without remembering the great kitchen incident. My son won't remember any of this. He was too little. But someday I'll tell him about how he turned our quiet family video call into an X-rated cooking show that absolutely nobody asked for. Maybe by then I'll have lived it down. But at least now I wear pants while cooking. It's called character development, people. If you're enjoying these kitchen catastrophes, hit that like button. It helps more folks like you find these stories. Story 13. Okay, so here's the thing about super hot peppers. They're basically little ninjas. They don't reveal their true powers until it's way too late. And that's exactly how I ended up in what I'm now calling the Great Pepper Incident of Taco Tuesday. Let me explain. In my house, Taco Tuesday isn't just dinner. It's like this whole big deal. My girlfriend and I are basically taco enthusiasts. Is that a thing? I'm making it a thing. Earlier this year, we went to this cute Amish farm and bought these pepper plants. We were all excited about growing our own ingredients, like proper adults who have their lives together. Fast forward to this one Tuesday evening. Picture me standing in our garden, feeling pretty confident as I picked 2 peppers, 1 regular jalapeno, totally normal, and this bright red one that, well, I probably should have Googled first. Oh my God, you guys. The smell when I cut into that red pepper. It was like a warning sign from the universe that I completely ignored. But did I stop? Nope. I just chopped up 2 little slices, feeling like some kind of master chef. Here's something they don't tell you in cooking shows. When you cook super hot peppers, the oils turn into this invisible pepper spray. I'm standing at the stove doing my usual cooking thing when suddenly my throat feels like I swallowed the Sahara Desert. You know that moment in movies when everything goes into slow motion because something terrible is about to happen? That was me when I heard my girlfriend coughing from her office, which is literally on the other side of the house. I had basically turned our entire house into a pepper gas chamber. Oops. What happened next was like a scene from an extremely spicy disaster movie. Picture this, me crying my eyes out. Not from emotions, pure pepper power, stumbling through the house like a hot mess, trying to evacuate my girlfriend, our daughter, and our two very confused dogs. It was like a fire drill, except the fire was in our throats and eyes. After getting my family to safety, I deserve at least a tiny medal for that. I managed to drag myself back to the garden. My face was literally glowing like Rudolph's nose. And there it was, this tiny little plant tag that read Caribbean Red Hot, 300,000 to 450,000 Scoville heat units. For reference, that jalapeno I also picked tops out at like 8,000 units. I had basically created a chemical weapon for dinner. The next hour of my life involved quality time with a milk-soaked cloth pressed against my face, questioning all my life choices. Thank goodness I hadn't touched my eyes. That would have been a whole other level of drama. So yeah, some people learn cooking lessons from YouTube videos or cookbooks. Me, I learned through accidental chemical warfare. The moral of this story: when a pepper looks like it could be Satan's favorite snack, maybe start with like one microscopic slice. Or better yet, stick to bell peppers. Bell peppers have never betrayed anyone. And Taco Tuesday, it's still going strong. We just keep the pepper selection process a lot more strategic now. Drop a comment below with your worst kitchen disaster. I respond to every comment you guys make. Story 14. Okay, so I need to get this off my chest because I seriously messed up today. Like, epic level messed up. And the worst part, I didn't even realize it until it was way too late. Here's the deal. Our friends Sarah and Mike are in the middle of moving into their new place. Sarah's been a hardcore vegetarian for over 10 years. It's basically part of her identity at this point. Mike's more flexible with his diet, but they generally keep their home meat-free. My wife Emma and I, we're what you'd call flexitarians. We do the vegetarian thing once or twice a week, and Emma makes this absolutely incredible zucchini lasagna that everyone raves about. Seriously, it's become legendary among our friends. So earlier today, I was helping Mike lay some flooring in their new place. They've been living off takeout because their kitchen isn't ready yet. Just a lonely microwave keeping them company. Mike was going on about how the local vegetarian delivery options were seriously disappointing and mentioned they'd be kitchenless for another week. That's when my brain had what I thought was a brilliant idea. Hey, I said, Emma just made her famous lasagna yesterday. Want some? We haven't frozen it yet. Mike's face lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. He was totally down to pick it up. Everything seemed perfect until Emma got home from work. She was checking her phone when this confused look crossed her face. Listen to this text, she said, reading aloud. The lasagna was great. Thanks so much. Almost forgot how much better home-cooked food is, even when microwaved. She looked at me, and I could see the exact moment she realized what had happened. Oh no, she said slowly. Please tell me you didn't give them the lasagna from yesterday? That's when it hit me, like a truck, carrying bacon. Because yeah, that's what was in the lasagna. Plus, and this was news to me, there was bone broth in the sauce too. Apparently Emma only makes the fully vegetarian version when Sarah and Mike are actually coming over for dinner. My stomach dropped. The guilt hit me like a wave. I wanted to tell them immediately, but Emma pointed out something important. They'd already eaten it, enjoyed it, and had no idea. It wasn't like an allergy situation where their health was at risk. Coming clean now would just make everyone feel awful about what was meant to be a kind gesture. The thing is, she's probably right, but I still feel terrible. It's like accidentally feeding a Hindu friend beef or giving pork to someone who keeps kosher. Sure, it wasn't intentional, but it still feels wrong. So here I am carrying around this guilty secret. Sarah and Mike, if you're somehow reading this, I am so sorry. I promise to make it up to you with actual vegetarian food someday. Maybe I'll even learn to make that legendary lasagna the right way. For now though, I'm just going to add this to my growing list of life lessons. Always double check the ingredients before sharing food with people who have dietary restrictions. Even if you think you know what's in it, especially if you think you know what's in it. Lesson learned. The hard way, as usual. Subscribe and hit that bell to catch more delicious disasters every week. Alright, we've got one last story, and trust me, you won't believe what happens when someone mistakes castor oil for cooking oil. Story 15. I'm starting to think that growing up is basically just discovering embarrassing things you should have known all along, one after another. Take right now, for example. It's 3:12 in the morning, and here I am, sitting on my bathroom floor, questioning every single life choice that brought me to this moment. But mainly, I'm questioning the choice I made 3 hours ago to cook those gorgeous puffball mushrooms I discovered in the woods. Quick disclaimer, the mushrooms weren't the problem at all. Those mushrooms were totally innocent in this whole situation. No, the real villain of this story is currently sitting in my kitchen. It's a bottle of castor oil, just sitting there, looking all innocent. Like it didn't just turn my entire digestive system into its own personal revenge story. So here's what went down. Earlier today, I went foraging in the woods. Because apparently that's who I am now. I'm the kind of person who spots giant white mushrooms growing out of the ground and thinks, oh yes, these moon-looking things, these are definitely going in my dinner. I have to say though, those puffballs were absolutely beautiful. Picture-perfect white spheres rising from the ground like something straight out of a storybook. You know, the kind of magical discovery that makes you believe in everyday miracles. But spoiler alert, this is definitely not a fairy tale. Back in my kitchen, I had everything set up perfectly. Picture this. First, the mushrooms all sliced into these neat little rounds. Next, a bowl of breadcrumbs waiting for their moment to shine. Then some cheese ready to go. And finally, that infamous bottle of castor oil. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Some oils are for cooking and others are for what my grandmother would delicately call internal cleansing. The bottle didn't specify its purpose. Maybe it assumed I should know better. Maybe I really should have known better. It's 4:23 now. My phone's search history is nothing but variations of mushroom poisoning symptoms. And what happens if you cook with castor oil? And why doesn't anyone warn people about this? The bathroom floor tiles are ice cold against my feet. Time feels weird in here, like it's measured in bathroom trips instead of minutes or hours. 3 steps from my bed to the door, 2 doorways to reach the bathroom. One very important lesson about reading labels. And here's another fun fact about growing up that nobody mentions. Sometimes the most important life lessons happen at 3 in the morning while you're sprawled on your bathroom floor and your stomach is doing its best impression of a washing machine gone haywire. Sometimes these lessons come wrapped in frantic Google searches and a whole lot of regret. Sometimes they arrive with the sudden, crystal clear understanding that not all oils serve the same purpose. Tomorrow, assuming I survive this ordeal, I'm going straight to the grocery store. I plan to stand in the cooking oil aisle with newfound respect. I promise to read every single label, not once, but twice. And those puffball mushrooms still growing out there in the woods? Oh, I'll definitely be back for them. Just with proper cooking oil this time. Because that's what growing up actually means, learning from your mistakes. Even the ones that keep you awake all night. Even the ones that make you memorize the fastest route to your bathroom. Even the ones that teach you in the most dramatic way possible that some life lessons come with unexpectedly explosive results. And there you have it. 15 stories that prove the kitchen is the most dangerous room in the house. If you enjoyed these tales, you know what to do. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that bell for new stories every week. Let me know in the comments which story was your favourite. Was it the exploding lemons, the upside down turkey, or maybe the naked cooking incident? This is Rigatoni Jack, and I'll catch you in the next one.